Now what do I want? I want first name. So there is a function called Talend Data Generator get first name. So this will give random, dynamically it will generate some of the first names that are stored in internal libraries of Talend. Let's see what kind of names or what names we get it when we run this job. Similarly, I have a last name function also. So I'm going and selecting this as Talend Data Generator get last name. All right. And I have experience. Experience is again an integer. So you can visualize or you can see that there is a change in the functions that are available here. So go ahead and select a function where I want to see a random number. Here, this is the random number. So I want to have experiences ranging from 1. So the minimum experience is 1 year and the maximum experience that I want to give it as 15. So I want some random numbers that are to be associated with this employee IDs with their experience. So it can be 5-year experience or it can be a 9-year experience, years of experience. That's how it is. So this is nothing but a random number, which is between a minimum value of 1 and a maximum value of 15. Now I have a state. So we also have a function called get US state. What this function would do, this function would generate randomly some of the states that are there in the US country. Okay, because this is get US state, it would give the states that are part of US country. All right, so let's go ahead and do this and let me give it as okay. And we want to propagate the changes. We want to print the data. Let's print it in the form of a table for us to be to have a clear picture of what we are printing, the random data. Go ahead and run this. There you see. So I have random data generated dynamically using T-row generator. So we have the employee ID starting from 123 and then it's incremented by 1 for 10 rows and it ended at 132. And we have a corresponding first name and last names generated. This is all a dynamic data. We did not pass any of this data. We did not read this from an input file or so. So this is just for our testing purpose. So Talend has this option where you can go ahead and generate some testing data and work upon and play around with the components and see how can the data can be transformed. Okay, that is our idea now. So we would use this data and then we will perform some transformations on the data and we would write the transformed data to our output file. How do we do the transformations? Yes, it is TMap. We would use the TMap and do transformations on this data. Alright, so we can see that the experience is also a randomly generated number between 1 and 15 and we have a state also associated with this particular employee ID. Now, instead of printing the data, let me go ahead and write this to a T file output delimited. Let's not even write this. Let's go ahead and directly use a TMap here. So now we know what is this data that it is coming. So let's go ahead and do some transformations. Just for idea, let's copy this to a notepad. So you can always copy the output that we have in the console and then you can put this in a notepad. So let me put this here. Well, so now my idea of transformations is I have an employee ID and I have an employee first name, there is last name, there is experience and there is state. So this is my input data. All right, this is my input data. So I want my output data in the below format. I want to have the employee ID and then I want to have the first name and the last name joined with a space in between and I want them to be as name under the column name and I want the experience to come up. Now, along with the experience, I want to add a new column called band. What does this band mean? So, in case I want to group these years of experiences into 3 bands. let me say if an employee has a minimum of 1 year of experience and a maximum of 5 years of experience, that is, any employee with experience between 1 and 5 would fall into a band A. So from 1 to 5, inclusive of 1 and inclusive of 5 also, this is band A. Now let's say we have from 6 to 10, inclusive of both, I want them to be in band B. Alright, and any employee with greater than 10 years of experience, I want them to be in, because, okay, let me put this as 11. I want them to be in band C. Okay, let's write this here. Looking at this data, this guy would fall to B and this guy would fall to C. This guy would fall to B again. So let's see if we have any A. I don't have any A because we don't have any number less than 5 here. Okay, let's do something. Let's change the bands like 1 to 6 as band A and 7 to 10 as band B. So this guy would fall in band A. So yeah, this guy would fall to the band A and this also would fall to band A, like that. So I hope you understood the idea, right? The transformation that we are going to do. So we have a band column which is associated, which is to group the employees, and then I also want the state to be a state. I want to have the employee underscore state, and I want to have country also, employee underscore country. And since I know all of these are from US, I want the country to be populated as USA for all the records that I have. So just to look at the data, transform data would be something like name followed by the ID and then followed by the first name and then space and followed by the last name as name, and years of experience, that is 10, would come back here, and then band. So 10 comes to which band? 10 comes to band B. So I want this as band B, and my state is the same state that we have here. So the state is North Carolina. And I want the country to be as USA by default for all 10 of this. Like this, I want to see all of this transformed data. Let's write that to one of the output files. Okay, I hope now it's clear, right? So let's go ahead and do that in our studio. How can we do that using TMap? So now I'll first put this get data, a row, and then main. And let's give a tlog. Tlog row. Run. I'll give this as out1. All right. So now this is the TMap. So this part shows the left hand side shows the input that it is coming, and this part shows the transform output that we would see while writing to the next component. And this area where we add some expressions or we add some default values, create some temporary variables and use those variables in our output.